Hello and welcome to Fluent English Journey. I'm really happy that you're here today. It doesn't matter if this is your first time listening or if you have been following this podcast for a while, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Many of you are here because you want to improve your English, practice listening and speaking, and also because you are interested in personal growth. You want to become a stronger, more confident person. That is exactly what we will focus on today. Today, I want to talk about an idea that can change the way you see yourself and maybe even change the way you live your life. It is something that many of us struggle with without even realizing it. We're going to talk about why we should stop trying to fix ourselves. You might think that sounds strange at first. After all, we are always told that we should improve, work on our weaknesses, and try to be better. And yes, growing and improving is important. But there is a big difference between wanting to grow and feeling like you need to fix yourself because you believe there is something wrong with you. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt like you are not enough just as you are? Maybe you have looked in the mirror and thought, I should be smarter, stronger, or more successful. Or maybe you have compared yourself to someone else and felt small or unworthy. Have you ever had that voice inside your head telling you that you need to change in order to be accepted, loved, or happy? If your answer is yes, you are not alone. Many of us have felt this way at some point. In this episode, I want to gently challenge that idea. I want to invite you to think differently about yourself. What if you are not broken? What if you don't need fixing? What if this constant idea of repairing yourself is actually holding you back from living a full and joyful life? These are big questions, and I am not here to give all the answers. Instead, I want to open the door to a new way of thinking. A way that can help you find peace with yourself while still learning, growing, and moving forward. As we begin this journey together, I encourage you to listen with an open heart. Notice your thoughts as we talk about this. Remember, this is not about being perfect or having everything figured out. This is about being kind to yourself, understanding yourself better, and maybe taking the first step towards self-acceptance. Let's start by asking, where does this fixing mindset come from? Why do so many of us believe we are not enough as we are? Where does this idea come from? Understanding this is important because when we see where this mindset comes from, we can start to question it. We can begin to see that maybe it is not our voice telling us we are not enough. Maybe it is a voice we picked up from somewhere else. Often, this mindset starts when we are very young. Think about it. As children, we are naturally curious, playful, and open. But little by little, we start to hear messages from the world around us. Maybe it is from parents, teachers, or other adults who care about us, but also point out our mistakes again and again. They might say things like, "Don't do that, it's wrong. Why can't you be more like your brother? You should try harder." Of course, feedback is a normal part of growing up. But when the focus is always on what we are doing wrong or what we should change, it is easy to start believing that we are not good enough just as we are. This is often where self-doubt begins. As we grow older, we meet more influences in our life. One of the biggest influences today is the media. Social media, advertising, movies, and magazines all show us images of what we should be. They show the perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect relationship. When we compare ourselves to these images, it is easy to feel like we don't measure up. This habit of comparing ourselves to others can become normal. We scroll through our phones and see people who seem to have it all. Then we ask ourselves, what is wrong with me? This is another way that the mindset of fixing ourselves grows stronger. We start thinking, if only I change this about myself, then I will be happy. Another big influence is perfectionism. Have you ever felt that no matter what you do, it is never quite good enough? That is perfectionism at work. Perfectionism tells us that we must do everything perfectly or it doesn't count. The problem is that perfection is impossible. So, when we try to be perfect, we set ourselves up to fail. We cannot reach this impossible standard, and then we tell ourselves, see, I am not good enough. This cycle makes us believe that we need to keep fixing ourselves just to feel okay. Let me share a personal example. When I first started public speaking, I believed I had to be the perfect speaker. No mistakes, no hesitation, no nervousness. Before every talk, I practiced over and over, trying to get every word exactly right. But you know what happened? I was so focused on trying to fix every little thing, my voice, my posture, my words, that I stopped enjoying the experience. I was so worried about being perfect that I forgot the real purpose, to connect with people, share ideas, and learn. The truth is, I didn't need fixing. I needed to let go of perfection. Maybe you have felt the same. Have you ever avoided doing something because you were afraid of not being perfect? Have you ever thought, I will wait until I am better before I try? Now we can see that this mindset doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from years of hearing messages that tell us we must be better, do better, look better. It comes from comparing ourselves to others and from trying to reach impossible standards. The result is that many of us walk around thinking we are broken and that we must be fixed before we can really start living. But what if that is not true? What if this mindset is just a story we learned? And what if we can learn a new story? As we move forward, I invite you to reflect on this. Where do you think your own fixing mindset comes from? Can you remember a moment when you first started believing you were not enough as you are? Don't judge yourself for it. Just notice it. That is the first step toward change, not fixing yourself, but understanding yourself. The hidden cost of always trying to fix yourself. Now, let's talk about something we don't always notice right away, the hidden cost of always trying to fix yourself. When we believe we are not good enough as we are, we often push ourselves harder and harder to change. At first, this may seem positive. We tell ourselves we are being responsible, that we are trying to become better people. But over time, this mindset can cause problems, affecting both our mental and physical health. One of the biggest hidden costs is burnout. When you feel you must constantly improve yourself, it is easy to work too hard. Imagine a person at work who is always trying to be perfect. Maybe they stay late at the office every night. They say yes to extra tasks even when they are tired. They always try to prove they are good enough. Because of this, they might stop taking breaks, stop spending time with friends, or stop doing things that bring them joy. At first, others may notice and praise their effort. People might say, "Wow, you are so dedicated." But inside, that person may feel tired, empty, or even lost. Have you ever worked so hard to change yourself that you ended up completely exhausted? That feeling is called burnout. Burnout happens when we give so much of our energy to work, to others, or to improving ourselves that there is nothing left for us. Another hidden cost of this mindset is low self-esteem. When we are always trying to fix ourselves, we tend to focus only on what we think is wrong with us. We stop noticing what is good or strong about ourselves. For example, maybe you are a kind and thoughtful person, but instead of noticing that, you focus on how you are not confident enough, how your English is not perfect, how you are not as successful as someone else. Over time, this way of thinking can make you feel like you have little value, even though that is not true. You start to see yourself only through your weaknesses. This can hurt your confidence and stop you from trying new things because you are so busy focusing on what you think you need to fix. And there's another effect, anxiety. When you believe you need to fix yourself, you may feel constant pressure. Pressure to act in the right way, say the right thing, look the right way. This pressure can make even simple, everyday situations stressful. Imagine going to a social event and thinking, I have to be perfect so people will like me. That kind of thinking makes it hard to relax and enjoy the moment. Instead of being yourself, you spend all your energy worrying about what others think. And the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you cannot control what everyone thinks of you. This kind of anxiety can make life feel heavy, and it stops you from feeling free and happy. Let's think about relationships too. Imagine a person who always tries to change who they are to make a partner happy. Maybe they act differently than they feel, hide parts of themselves, agree with things they don't really believe in. At first, this might seem helpful for the relationship, but over time, that person may feel sad, frustrated, or even angry because they are not being true to themselves. They are always trying to fix who they are just to be accepted or loved. The cost? They lose their sense of self. Have you ever done that, changed who you are just to please someone else? How did that feel? The hidden cost of this constant fixing mindset is that it keeps us stuck in a cycle. We try to fix ourselves to feel better, but instead, we often feel worse. We feel tired, less confident, more anxious. And the more we feel these things, the more we think, see, I really do need fixing. But here's the truth. The problem is not who we are. The problem is the story we have been told about needing to be fixed. The problem is that we have been trying so hard to be someone we're not, or to reach some idea of perfect that doesn't really exist. So as we finish this part, I want to ask you again. Have you ever worked so hard to change yourself that you ended up feeling tired, sad, or empty? Have you ever tried so hard to be good enough that you forgot what makes you you? If your answer is yes, I want you to know, you're not alone. Many people feel this way. And it's not because you're broken. It's because you have been trying too hard to fix something that doesn't need fixing. As we continue, let's explore what it means to stop trying to fix ourselves and instead focus on growth and self-acceptance. That is where real peace begins. The difference between growth and fixing. Now, let's look at something very important, the difference between growth and fixing. At first, these ideas might seem similar, but they're actually very different. Understanding this difference can help you see yourself in a new way, a way that is kinder, more open, and more honest. So, what is growth? Growth is about expanding who you are. It is about learning, changing, and becoming more of yourself, not less. When we grow, we are not trying to erase parts of ourselves or hide who we are. Growth is about adding to ourselves, not taking away. Growth is natural. It is like a tree. Think about a tree for a moment. Does a tree try to fix itself? No. A tree doesn't sit there thinking, oh no, my branches aren't good enough. My leaves should be greener. A tree simply grows. Its roots go deep into the earth, and its branches spread out wide. Sometimes a branch breaks or some leaves fall. But the tree doesn't see itself as broken. It just continues to grow in a natural way. In the same way, we as people can grow. We can learn new things, build new skills, and understand ourselves better, but without thinking we are broken or need fixing. Now let's think about fixing. Fixing suggests that something is broken or wrong. When we try to fix ourselves, it often comes from the belief that we are not okay as we are. We think, if I can change this part of me, then I will finally be good enough. But this way of thinking can be harmful. It makes us focus too much on our so-called weaknesses. It makes us believe there is something wrong at our core. And when we believe that, it is hard to feel happy or at peace, no matter how much we try to change. Fixing comes from a place of fear, the fear that we are not enough, the fear that we will not be accepted or loved unless we change. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you are a beautiful piece of handmade pottery. Maybe you have small cracks or spots where the color is not perfect. When you try to fix yourself, you might feel like you need to cover the cracks, paint over the spots, or make yourself perfect. But what if those cracks are part of what makes you beautiful? In Japan, there is an art called kintsugi. It is the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, kintsugi highlights them. The cracks become part of the design. They tell a story. The piece is not less valuable because of its cracks. It becomes even more special. What if we thought about ourselves in the same way? What if our imperfections are actually part of what makes us unique, strong, and beautiful? So next time you think about personal change, ask yourself, Am I growing, or am I trying to erase parts of myself? Growth means accepting who you are now while also moving forward. Fixing often means rejecting who you are now because you believe you are not good enough. Growth is gentle. It allows for mistakes. It understands that no one is perfect. Fixing is harsh. It tries to force change. It makes us feel small and not good enough. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who is learning English. Maybe that person is you. When you are focused on growth, you enjoy the learning process. You make mistakes, but you see them as part of the journey. You feel proud when you learn a new word or understand something new. But when you are focused on fixing, it feels very different. You might feel ashamed of your mistakes. You might think, I have to fix my bad English before I can speak to people. I'm not good enough yet. This mindset can stop you from practicing, from connecting with others, and from growing. The truth is, you don't need to erase parts of yourself. You don't need to hide who you are. You don't need to fix yourself. What we all need, is to grow, to open up, and to become more of who we really are. And growth doesn't come from fear. Growth comes from love for learning, love for life, and most importantly, love for yourself. Take a deep breath and reflect for a moment. Are you growing, or are you trying to fix yourself? Are you reaching out like a tree toward the sun, or are you trying to cut off your own branches because you think they're not good enough? I encourage you to choose growth. Choose the path that lets you keep becoming, without fear, without shame, and without the idea that you are broken. Because you're not broken. You're a living, growing person, and that is more than enough. Why you're not broken? Embracing imperfection. Let's take some time now to talk about something at the heart of today's topic. I want to remind you and maybe help you see more clearly, you are not broken. Yes, you heard that right. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. You are a human being, and that means you are imperfect. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's what makes you human. So many of us walk through life thinking that something is wrong with us. Maybe it's because of mistakes we've made, the way we look, not always saying or doing the right thing, comparing ourselves to people who seem to have it all together. But the truth is, no one has it all together. No one is perfect. Every person you admire, every person you see on social media, in movies, or even in your life, they all have struggles. They all have moments of doubt, moments where they feel small or unsure. That's just part of being human. There is a beautiful idea from Japanese culture that can help us see this more clearly. It's called wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is about finding beauty in imperfection. It's about accepting that life is not perfect. Things change, things age, things break, and that is where true beauty lies. For example, imagine a simple, old bowl. Maybe it has a crack or the color has faded over time. In many cultures, we might see that bowl as damaged or not good enough. But through the idea of wabi-sabi, we see the bowl as beautiful exactly because of its imperfections. The crack tells a story. The faded color shows it has been used and loved. The bowl is unique, and its imperfection is part of what makes it special. And the same is true for you. Your imperfections are not flaws. They are part of your story, your strength, and your unique beauty. Your imperfections, the things you sometimes think are wrong with you, are actually part of what makes you who you are. They tell your story. They show that you have lived, tried, faced challenges, and kept going. You are not a machine that needs fixing. You are a person who is learning, growing, and becoming. When we try to hide our imperfections or pretend they don't exist, we also hide the parts of ourselves that are most real, most human, and most beautiful. Take a moment now and think about this. What are the parts of yourself that you usually try to hide or change? Maybe it's something about your appearance, your English level, the way you speak, or the fact that you get nervous in certain situations. Now ask yourself, what if these parts of you are not mistakes? What if they're simply part of what makes you you? There's a phrase I want to share with you today. It's simple but powerful. You are enough as you are. Let me say that again. You're enough as you are. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need to have everything figured out to deserve love, respect, or happiness. You don't need to fix yourself to live a good life. You're already enough, right now in this moment. Of course, this doesn't mean we stop learning or stop growing. Growth is a natural and wonderful part of life. But when we grow from a place of love, not fear, it feels different. Growth is not about trying to erase who we are. It is about becoming more of who we truly are. It's about opening up to life, not closing ourselves off because we think we aren't good enough. So as you continue on your journey, whether it's your journey of learning English, building confidence, improving a skill, or simply trying to live with more joy, I encourage you to remember this. You don't need to be perfect to belong. You don't need to fix yourself to be worthy. Your imperfections are not a problem. They are part of what makes you real, part of what makes you beautiful, part of what makes you human. Take a deep breath right now. Let that idea sink in. Let go, even if just a little, of the belief that you have to change everything about yourself to be okay. Instead, try to see yourself through gentler eyes. See yourself with kindness, understanding, and acceptance. See yourself as someone who is already enough, just as you are. See the cracks, the struggles, the imperfections, and see them as part of the art of your life. Just like that old bowl, you're not broken. You're whole and you're enough. What happens when you stop trying to fix yourself? Now, let's take a moment to imagine something different. Imagine what your life could feel like if you stopped trying so hard to fix yourself. What would your days look like if you truly believed you were already whole? Imagine believing that you don't need to be perfect, that you don't need to change everything about yourself to deserve peace, happiness, and love. Just sit with that thought for a moment. When we stop trying to fix ourselves, something beautiful begins to happen. We start to feel lighter. We begin to experience a kind of emotional freedom that maybe we didn't even realize was missing. When you stop believing you are broken, the pressure starts to disappear. You no longer wake up every day thinking about what's wrong with you or what you need to change before you can feel okay. Instead, you can start to appreciate who you are right now. This doesn't mean you stop growing or learning. Growth is still a part of life. But the energy behind your growth changes. It's no longer about trying to fix yourself. It's about enjoying the journey of becoming. Think about how much time and energy many of us spend trying to hide our so-called flaws. Maybe we avoid speaking up in a meeting because we are afraid we will say the wrong thing. Maybe we don't try something new, like joining a group or learning a skill, because we tell ourselves we're not good enough yet. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you can let go of those fears. You can allow yourself to speak up, try new things, and make mistakes, because you are no longer afraid that one mistake defines you. Let me share a personal example. I remember when I was learning a new language. Every time I made a mistake, I felt embarrassed. I would practice alone for hours, trying to get every word, every sentence perfect before speaking in front of anyone. I kept telling myself I need to fix my speaking before I can really use this language. But all that did was slow me down. It made me feel nervous and unsure of myself. One day, I decided to let that idea go. I reminded myself, I'm not broken. I'm learning. When I did that, everything changed. I stopped worrying about being perfect. I focused on connection, sharing ideas, and enjoying the process. And you know what? My language skills improved much faster, and I felt more confident and free. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you also start to trust yourself more. You begin to believe you can handle whatever comes your way. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to be perfect to deserve respect, success, or love. And this brings a sense of peace, the kind of peace that comes when you know you are enough as you are. Can you picture that feeling? Can you imagine waking up without that voice in your head saying, you're not good enough yet? Can you imagine going through your day without constantly checking yourself, trying to make everything perfect? What could your life feel like if you truly believed you were already whole? Maybe you would feel calmer. Maybe you would feel more joyful. Maybe you would take more chances, speak your mind more freely, and live more fully. Think about this. What would change for you if you stopped trying to fix yourself? How would your relationships change? How would your work or studies feel different? How would you feel different? I'm not saying this is easy. After all, many of us have spent years believing we need to fix ourselves. It takes time to let go of the idea that you need to fix yourself. But every small step you take towards self-acceptance brings you closer to emotional freedom. As we move forward, I invite you to reflect. What if you could stop fighting with yourself? What if you could start being your own friend instead of your biggest critic? Imagine what might be possible for you then. The truth is, when you stop trying to fix yourself, you open the door to a new way of living, a way that is lighter, kinder, and filled with more peace. And that, I believe, is a beautiful way to live. Practical ways to practice self-acceptance. Now that we've talked about why you're not broken and what happens when you stop trying to fix yourself, let's take this idea a little further. Let's talk about what you can do in daily life to practice self-acceptance. Because understanding the idea is important, but what really makes a difference is how we live it. Self-acceptance is not something that happens overnight. It's something we build step by step through small, simple actions that we can practice over time. One of the first ways to practice self-acceptance is through mindful self-talk. This means becoming more aware of the way you speak to yourself in your mind. Many of us are harder on ourselves than on anyone else. We might say things like, "You're so stupid. You'll never get it right. You're not good enough." These words can become automatic. We don't even notice we're saying them, but they affect how we feel about ourselves. So, what can we do? We can start by noticing when that negative voice shows up. And when it does, we can choose kinder words. For example, instead of saying, "I always mess up," say, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning." Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," try, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough today." Even small changes in the way we speak to ourselves can help us feel more calm and confident. Another simple practice is journaling. Taking a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts and feelings can help you understand yourself better. It can also help you see the good things that are already in your life. You don't have to write long pages. You can start small. Maybe each evening, write down one thing you're proud of, one small success you had, or one kind thing you did for yourself or someone else. This helps train your mind to focus on what's working, not just on what you think needs to change. Over time, it builds a more positive and accepting attitude toward yourself. It's also very helpful to pause and appreciate small wins. Often, we are so focused on big goals that we forget to celebrate the small steps we take. But small steps matter. In fact, they are what lead to real change. For example, maybe you spoke up in a meeting even though you felt nervous. That's a win. Maybe you practiced English for 10 minutes today. That's a win. Maybe you took time to rest instead of pushing yourself too hard. That's a win too. When you notice these moments and take a second to say, "That was good. I'm proud of that," you strengthen your sense of self-acceptance. Another thing that can really support self-acceptance is using gentle mantras or simple phrases that you can repeat to yourself, especially during difficult moments. These short, kind sentences can help calm your mind and bring you back to the present. Some examples you might like are, "I am enough. I grow at my own pace. I am learning, and that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes." You can say these words silently to yourself when you feel self-doubt, or even write them down and put them somewhere you will see them, like on your desk or phone screen. The more you repeat these supportive phrases, the more they can replace that harsh inner voice that tells you you're not good enough. All of these practices, mindful self-talk, journaling, celebrating small wins, and using positive phrases, are simple, but they can have a big impact. And the best part is you can start right now. You don't need special tools or perfect conditions. You just need a little time and a gentle reminder that self-acceptance is something you can build one small moment at a time. As we come to the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with a gentle invitation, a simple action you can try this week to bring these ideas into your daily life. Notice the moments when you judge yourself or feel that old pressure to fix yourself. Maybe it happens when you make a mistake at work or school. Maybe it happens when you look in the mirror or hear your own voice speaking English. Just try to notice when that inner voice appears, the one that says, "You should have done better," or "You're not enough yet." The first step toward change is always awareness. When you begin to see these moments clearly, you can choose a different response. You can remind yourself that you are not broken. You can choose kindness instead of criticism. This week, when you notice yourself in those moments of self-judgment, try pausing for just a second. Take a slow, deep breath and say something supportive to yourself. It can be as simple as, "It's okay. I'm learning. I'm doing my best." Or just, "I am enough." These small acts of kindness toward yourself can slowly change the way you see yourself. They can help you build a stronger, kinder relationship with who you are right now, not some perfect future version of yourself, but you, just as you are today. I also want to encourage you to take this conversation beyond this podcast. If there's a friend or family member you trust, try sharing what you learned today. Talk about these ideas, about self-acceptance, about letting go of the need to fix yourself, about embracing imperfection. When we speak about these things, we don't just grow personally, we also practice using English in meaningful ways. Having these kinds of conversations can help you connect your language learning with important life topics. And who knows? You might find that the person you speak with has also felt the same pressures you have. You might discover that you are not alone in these feelings, and that can be a very comforting and powerful realization. Finally, if you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with someone else who might need to hear this message. You never know whose day you might brighten or whose life you might impact by sharing a little encouragement and understanding. Maybe there is someone in your life who is also struggling with self-doubt, who feels tired of trying to be perfect, who is ready to hear that they don't need to fix themselves. By sharing this episode, you can help spread a little more kindness and support. And at the same time, you're helping yourself by reflecting on these ideas and making them part of your life. Before we close, I want to leave you with one final message. I hope you will carry these words with you as you go through your week. You are not broken. You are becoming. Let me say that again. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every mistake, every step forward, every moment of doubt, all of it is part of your journey. You are not a problem that needs to be solved. You are a person who is growing, learning, and becoming more of who you truly are. And that is a beautiful thing. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope this episode gave you something to think about, and I hope it reminded you to be a little kinder to yourself. I look forward to being with you again in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself and remember, you're enough, just as you are.